Hi and welcome to the Year 8 curriculum briefing. I'm Mrs Robinson, the Deputy Head Teacher. I know I met lots of you last year at this kind of time when we came together when the children had just started in Year 7. So the idea is that we go through the priorities for your daughter's year group. So for Year 8, I'm joined by Miss McDonald as well, who's your daughter's head of year, alongside Miss Blease. Okay, so she'll talk about the 3 priorities from a head of year perspective as well. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is the contingency planning, because obviously we're in a very different place than we were this time last year. So hopefully that will just help your understanding in case we do have any further measures. But first and foremost, the children are doing incredibly well. They've come back loving school, really pleased to be back, and we see them every morning coming through the gates, getting the hands washed at the Year 8 ensuite facilities, as we call it, and they're doing incredibly well because we've got a lot of new routines that they're having to get used to. So a big well done to start with. Right, so Year 8, I know we had a turbulent Year 7, and it was lovely to meet with lots of you actually at the end of last year. But what's really lovely for the girls is that they've still got their same form tutor. So every single day they're catching up with their form tutors and getting key messages and checking in with them. So they've remained the same. And I'll send out a copy of this presentation as well. So if there's any information that you want to refer back to, you can do. Alongside the tutors, obviously, you've got heads of year. So at the moment, that's Mrs Blease and Miss McDonald, who job share that role and see the children again every morning as they come in. And they're there to support your daughter as much as possible. With that then, if there are any kind of learning mentor needs, then the heads of year can refer into our team of learning mentors who have had to adapt how they work. So we don't have the drop-in any longer, but they are still available. And like I said, the heads of year can refer into that service if your child does need any additional support. So we've got lots of really experienced learning mentors. We've also got Mrs Howe, our SEMCO, working with all the children with specific needs. And I know lots of you've met with her already. And also key to your daughter this year is Mrs Edwards, who's our independent careers advisor. And Mrs Edwards works with the children particularly this year because they're getting to move on and to think about which options and which areas that your daughter wants to specialise in. So they start thinking about careers and what kind of subjects are going to really support them with that. A successful Year 8 pupil, they've been in school, not all of last year, but they've been in school for enough time now to really understand all of the different processes and what we're all about here at Greenbank. So for Year 8, it is developing that maturity, which becomes the key focus for them. Outstanding attitude to learning. If they work hard, they'll do well. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? Really good levels of attendance, which we know is slightly different this year, when some children have had to isolate. But of course, we've got all of that online provision to support them with that. And also contributing and being part of the school. So the Year 8s are predominantly all together at the moment, but focusing on kind of community work and charity work is also going to be a key theme for the children this year. So what does that developing in maturity mean? Well, first of all, obviously they know the school and all of its systems. They understand how they get rewarded and where sanctions need to be put in place. But also it's learning to work with different pupils this year. So last year they worked with a form group. This year they've been mixed up. So they're working with the work groups in mixed ability settings for most subjects, and also different groups for the maths lessons, for DT, and also for their language option as well. So they're learning to work with lots of different pupils, which the children tend to really respond positively to. But they've still got that consistency each day of meeting up with their form. Really exploring the curriculum. So most of the children did incredibly well at keeping up through the lockdown, but really fully exploring the subjects across the board. To find the thing that really makes them tick and to help them in order to move forward with the options process. Having independence at lunchtime. So the girls have now got an hour for their lunch, and last year the Year 7s were out at lunchtime, okay, so they went to the canteen. Now they've got that responsibility of having their own form area to look after, and generally speaking they're doing really well with that. But of course, you know, that's a privilege, and the children need to make sure that they maintain really high standards. But again, it's part of that growing up, and most of the time the children respond very well to that. And finally, it's the language option. So they've gone from having 3 lessons a fortnight in French or Spanish to having 6 a fortnight in that specialist language. So the children become really proficient because they're using, I'm a language teacher myself, they need to be using language regularly to become really adept at using a foreign language. So they really will excel this year in a language choice. And we've made this change a couple of years ago, and the language teachers have seen a real change in the year 9 and 10 pupils as a result, because they've had this really good foundation in year 8, which means they can move on and do really well with their GCSE language study as well. So excellent attitudes to learning, of course, are key. Getting those small things right. So, you know, getting the uniform right, being on time, being organised, making really good progress as a result of getting the small things right as well. And the children have developed a lot of independence. I was amazed when I spoke to some of the year 7s last year at kind of how independent they've become, and how well they were supporting their peers as well. But homework is the key for that then, to really develop those independent learning skills. You know, we don't want to be in the situation we're in at the moment, but if we see the positives from the lockdown period, it's that children really had to grow up quite quickly in terms of their learning, you know, in the way that they learn, in a way that you'd akin more to kind of college and university. So that's a real positive, and homework's a great opportunity to develop that further. So the children will continue to get achievement points and rewards. We know that they got the badges at the end of last year as well, but additional things you can get points for: service to school, so helping out, extracurricular. Has been slower getting off the ground this year, but that is starting to take place. I know music are already up and running, and PE are hoping to start after October half term. Excellent progress they'll get awarded for. Effort, of course, as well, and those two things are always linked. And brilliant punctuality and attendance. We've got to say the year 8s are coming in on time when they should be, and doing really well with that. But most importantly, it's getting the small things right. If you come to school and get everything right every single day, your child will achieve that gold badge. Okay, so it's all the additional things that will lead to the green one beyond. Attitude to learning scores, as descriptors there, so you'll get reported on those aspects, but again you can refer back to that. But what we're looking for with children are at least ATL 3 and hopefully ATL 4 as well, across a range of subjects. And we'll report back to you then, first of all in December, on how your daughter's doing. So we'll look at how she's doing in terms of attitude to learning, and also against those bands that she was put into in year 7. So they were based on how she did at primary, and also all the baseline assessments that we did. So for all subjects, she'll be in the same band, either bronze, silver, gold or platinum, apart from for music, PE and art, where she might be in a different band. And we measure her progress against that. So she'll either be working towards that standard, she'll be at expected standard, or she'll be going above that expected progress. So you'll be able to see how she's getting on. So she'll get her first one in December, another one in March, and we'll also see you in March, hopefully. And if it's not face-to-face, it will be virtually, that we will do an options evening, so you can explore all the different subject areas and also get some feedback from subject teachers on how your daughter's doing. And then we'll do exams with the year 8s from the 10th of May. Finally, at the end of the year, you'll get a written report and another PIP as well for a final progress check. Homework then this year, again, that key independence is outlined here. So that's how much homework they'll be getting on a fortnightly basis. So again, it's not about particular days, it's about the amount. Certain subjects like maths will give homework very regularly, but it'll tend to be slightly shorter. Some are more extended projects. So you've got that there to refer to and give you a little bit of guidance. So what will happen if we go into a further lockdown? And we know there's lots of changes going on outside of school at the moment, but the government quite rightly are determined to keep schools open as far as possible. You know, and of course we are keen to keep open and see the pupils in each day. Whatever happens though, whether your child's having to self-isolate, whether there are further lockdowns, our main aims are to continue your child's education and make sure that they're not disadvantaged by being part of what's going on at the moment. So we want to follow the curriculum, all assessments as far as possible, and structure the school day in the same way if they're in school or out of school. We learned a lot in March, and from that lockdown process we've had lots of things that were working incredibly well, but we know that the children that were doing best were those that kept to regular start times, they kept up with the school timetable, they kept to the hour-long lessons, okay, as much as possible, and they were having that natural short break at the end of each of those sessions as well, which in school they would get ordinarily. We'll also be doing more live meetings and video and audio, which again we started to develop towards the end of the lockdown process. But ideally, if we were in a lockdown situation, we would hope to be able to deliver video or live meetings to children. Collaborating with classmates seemed to really work for the girls as well, so them having those links with other pupils, and really good communication with teachers. So if they've explored all the avenues, they've tried to find something out but they're still struggling with something, the children that were doing best were communicating then directly with the teachers, and if they've got teaching assistant support, then they were again liaising with them to help. And finally, what we learned from the children that were doing really well, it was that they were able to keep that balance between school life and other activities. You know, in school, naturally, the children are walking into school, so they're getting a bit of exercise every day, getting outside. They move slightly between lessons, not too far at the moment, but they have that real variety, and it's making sure that when and if they're at home, that they've still got all of those opportunities to support better learning. So we're in 4 different tiers. We're currently in tier 1, and that's where we really hope that we remain. That's the one in green. So schools are open for all children, and the only exception to that is children that need to self-isolate, and they're set tasks via Firefly as we were through the lockdown period. If we are informed that we need to move to tier 2, and that's not our decision, but it will be either a central government or a local government decision, then tier 2 is a rota system where they're trying to reduce the number of children accessing school. The rota system would be that we'd have 2-year groups in and then 3-year groups in on a 2-week basis. Okay, and again, that's to try to reduce the number of people that are out and about. During that process, your child would continue their education. Even when they're at home, they would be given the Google Meet invites to go to attend live sessions, or they'd be sent a video link and the resources via Firefly. So everything is being set up in case that happens. That same process would happen in tier 3 or tier 4. Tier 3 is all children learn remotely except for a specified year group from, again, either the local or national government. They've not specified which one, but we'd expect that to be probably year 11, because they are obviously getting ready for their examinations. Tier 4 is exactly the same as what happened in March. So again, that's all children learning from home. Throughout all of those tiers, the exception are vulnerable children and children of key workers. So if you're a key worker, then your child will still be able to access school, and they'd be supervised to continue with remote learning in the school environment. Okay, so you've been sent some information at the end of September about the remote learning, how to access Firefly. So you should be able to download an app where you can see all of the tasks that are being set. Tasks are being routinely set at the moment because we've got a number of children that are isolated. So the children, if they're in school, just need to mark those tasks as done. But we also use Google Meet, which again, the children are going through in their computing lessons. So they should be experts at that if we do need to move to that system. Last year, your daughter also signed a live streaming agreement, but just to be aware, there might be a few outstanding on that we need to chase up. That's so that we've got an agreement in place for any live lessons that take place. But again, you'll see a copy of that sent out. Finally, from me is just to say, if you do need to get in touch about anything, then you do use the inquiries at Greenbank High. That's monitored regularly. And also, if you can make sure, please, that we do have 2 emergency contacts in school. Hope you found that helpful. I'm going to hand over to Miss McDonald, who will go through the priorities for year 8. Thanks, Miss.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Miss McDonald. It's been an absolute privilege to welcome the girls back to Greenbank and to see just how eager they were and just to get back into the routine of school and education. We were impressed by how the pupils had engaged with studying at home during lockdown and the maturity as well of coming back into year 8 when they'd only really been in year 7 for around 7 months. So it's just a fantastic achievement of just how well they're doing and how well they're adapting. We do have a brilliant year group. They're fully supported by the staff and teachers, and also supported by each other, by the peers, like the friendships that I see in form and throughout the year groups, and just seeing those flourish. It's an absolute privilege to see that. Now I'm going to discuss the 3 priorities that we have for year 8. The first of all is the 5 R's. So I suppose technically this can be 5 different priorities, but they all start with R, and I thought it was quite nice to link them all together. The first one is resilience. And this all links into the Greenbank motto of inspire, care and achieve. We want pupils to learn how to manage difficult thoughts, any feelings and experiences in a healthy way, not only in school, but also outside of school as well. And it just improves their life chances with everything if they can have that resilience. The second R is for the pupils to be resourceful. We want to encourage pupils to plan, to strategize, prioritize and set goals and monitor their progress. The simple things that the pupils are already doing, like having their homework diary, they're planning when their homework's due, they're prioritizing that, they're getting that ready for the deadline. All these little things which just adapts them for life outside of school as well. The third priority for the R's is for respect. So just for all pupils and all staff, just to be respectful to any person they come across. Also the pupils in their class and their class year group as a whole. The fourth one is reasoning. So we want pupils to confidently and accurately carry out problem solving. And this can help in so many subjects. I'm a maths teacher, so it definitely helps in maths. It can certainly help in science, in English, in any subject. So it will just help their skills for the future. Reflective is the final R, where we want pupils to be confident. We want to create confident pupils. We want to let them take new challenges, not to be afraid of anything, to give things a go, and to develop a sense of secure and confident knowledge base. The next priority, this is all about growth mindset. We want to encourage pupils to grow their intelligence, their independence, and to flourish. I'm sure at this age, they're probably growing quite a lot of independence at home. Some of you might say possibly a bit too much, but we want them to be independent in their studies. We want them to be able to go home and feel confident in attempting any task that their teacher sets for them and any homework, not to be afraid to just give things a go to the best of their ability. We want to develop and nurture all students to become confident young women, not only in school, but also in the outside world. And the final priority is options. So this is a really exciting year because in year 8, your daughter has the opportunity to choose the GCSE options, which is an exciting step in the transition from their current Key Stage 3 to the Key Stage 4 curriculum in year 9 onwards. So deciding on what GCSE options to take depends on a combination of things, including your daughter's own interests and her future plans. Your daughter's in the driving seat now, so this is just really exciting time where she can begin to shape her own future. It's the first time that pupils can actually focus on the subjects that they like the most and that they feel they will do well in, along with their core subjects. Okay, thank you for listening today. I hope that the priorities that I've just discussed can be supported both at home and also encouraged in the classroom. Thank you.